Attention! You may be storing a food in your refrigerator that, without realizing it, could be increasing your cancer risk. If you're over 55, this risk is even greater. But what if I told you that a simple change in where you store certain foods could protect your health and even prevent serious illnesses? Every day, millions of people make this mistake, turning foods that should be healthy into silent threats. The World Health Organization has already issued warnings about toxic substances that can form when we store certain foods in the wrong place. And in our age group, where we naturally face greater risks of disease, this detail can be even more dangerous. The cold of the refrigerator, which seems harmless, can alter the structure of certain foods and give rise to compounds that our grandparents never even imagined existed. In the past, people kept the same foods outside the refrigerator and lived quite well. But with the convenience of modern life, we've ended up creating problems that didn't exist before. These chemical changes caused by incorrect refrigeration can promote the development of substances linked to cancer, diabetes, and other serious problems that become increasingly common after the age of 55. Have you ever wondered why some people reach 60 or older with plenty of energy and health, while others live with chronic illnesses? Could the error be in something as simple as the way food is stored? And what's more, is there really a common food that can become toxic inside the refrigerator? Stay with me until the end because I will reveal answers that can transform your health and protect your entire family. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Please share your thoughts and leave a comment below about where you're watching from. We'd love to get to know our community better. Storing food in the refrigerator seems obvious today, but our grandparents had other habits, and in some cases even safer ones. This is because cold is not beneficial for all types of food. Think of your refrigerator as a time machine. For some foods it preserves them, for others, it can accelerate harmful chemical reactions. For example, in certain starchy vegetables, such as potatoes, the cold transforms this starch into simple sugars. When we cook them later, compounds that are harmful to health can emerge. Additionally, the natural enzymes in some foods stop working properly inside the refrigerator, disrupting the ripening process that ensures important nutrients. Other foods end up absorbing excess moisture in the cold environment, creating perfect conditions for the proliferation of fungi and bacteria. International research has already confirmed that these compounds formed by inadequate storage are associated with an increase in cancer cases, especially in people over 50. But the good news is that knowing which food should never be refrigerated is enough to protect your health and, as a bonus, free up space in your refrigerator. And now comes the most important moment of this video. I'm going to reveal the 7 foods you should remove from your refrigerator immediately to protect not only your health, but that of your entire family. Food number 1, raw potato. This is, without a doubt, the biggest danger hidden in your refrigerator. Few people know this, but when you store raw potatoes in the refrigerator, their starch turns into simple sugars. This process, when cooked later, can produce substances that are highly harmful to the body. It may seem harmless, but when you cook potatoes at temperatures above 180 degrees Celsius, the sugars that formed in the cold end up reacting with certain amino acids. The result? The formation of a chemical compound called acrylamide. And here's the warning. The World Health Organization itself classifies acrylamide as a substance that probably causes cancer in humans. Studies involving thousands of people around the world have already shown a link between frequent consumption of acrylamide and an increased risk of endometrial, ovarian, esophageal, and kidney cancer. Now imagine this, if you're over 55, a stage in which your risk of developing cancer naturally increases, that danger becomes even more serious. In other words, without knowing it, you could be producing a toxic compound in your own kitchen. So what is the correct way to store potatoes? Just like our grandparents did, in a cool, dry, dark place. A low cabinet, away from the stove and protected from light, is ideal. Always use paper bags or cardboard boxes, which allow air circulation. Never store in plastic bags, as they retain moisture and encourage rotting. By following this simple method, your potatoes can last for weeks without posing any health risks. Food number 2, tomatoes, which lose their medicinal power when refrigerated. Tomatoes are considered a true superfood, a source of lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that helps protect against prostate, breast, and lung cancer. But there's a detail that few people know. When you put tomatoes in the refrigerator, especially those that aren't yet ripe, the cold completely stops the natural ripening process. It's as if you were freezing the fruit's biological clock. Below 10 degrees Celsius, the enzymes responsible for producing lycopene simply stop working. And that's not all. The cold breaks down the tomato's cell walls, taking away its juiciness and characteristic flavor. Research by University of Florida proved refrigerated tomatoes can lose up to 60% due a Roman 25% of lycopene. Now think about it, if you're over 55 and need these antioxidants to prevent heart disease and cancer, that loss is very serious. Therefore, always keep tomatoes at room temperature, in a ventilated place and away from direct sunlight. If they are still green, let them ripen naturally on the kitchen counter. Only put tomatoes in the refrigerator when they are very ripe and you plan to consume them within the next 2 days. And even then, take them out at least 30 minutes before eating, to recover some of the flavor and texture. Food number 3, bread, which develops mold faster in the humid environment of the refrigerator. Many people believe that refrigerating bread helps preserve it, but in practice the effect is the opposite. Cold and humidity create perfect conditions for mold growth. It's as if the refrigerator were a greenhouse for fungi. Additionally, the starch in bread undergoes a process called retrogradation, which happens much faster at low temperatures. Result: the bread becomes hard, chewy, and loses its softness. Another problem is that bread stored in the refrigerator absorbs odors from other foods, losing its natural flavor. For those who already have more sensitive digestion, as is common after 50, consuming bread with microscopic fungi can cause allergies, intestinal problems, and even poisoning. Some types of mold produce mycotoxins, substances that attack the liver and weaken the immune system. The correct way to store bread is at room temperature, in a paper bag or clean cloth, always in a dry place. If you are not going to consume everything within 3 days, the best option is slice the bread and freeze the portions. This way you preserve the flavor and can defrost only the amount you need, without wasting anything. Food number 4, the unripe avocado, which loses its chance to ripen properly when placed in the refrigerator. Avocado is a fruit rich in good fats, essential for heart health and proper brain function. And for those over 40 or 50, these nutrients are even more important. When you put unripe or still firm avocados in the refrigerator, they simply stop ripening as they should. This happens because the cold interrupts the production of phthalate, the fruit's natural hormone responsible for the entire ripening process. It's as if you're cutting in half the avocado's natural cycle. The result? The fruit can develop dark spots in the flesh, a fibrous texture, a bitter taste, and even a condition called cold damage. The skin becomes mottled and the flesh becomes granular and unpleasant. To reap all of avocado's benefits, especially its healthy fats, which are essential for heart and brain health, it needs to ripen naturally at room temperature. Want to speed up the process? Place the avocado in a paper bag along with an apple or banana. These fruits release ethylene and help the avocado ripen faster. When the fruit is ready, giving slightly to the pressure of your finger, then you can store it in the refrigerator for up to 3 days. This way, you ensure all the nutrients of this incredible fruit without compromising its quality. Food number 5, bananas, which undergo dangerous chemical changes in the cold. Banana is one of the most complete fruits that exist. Rich in potassium, it helps regulate blood pressure, which is essential for those over 55. But what happens when we put bananas in the fridge? The cold destroys the cells of the bark, which quickly darkens and becomes covered in black spots. Even more serious, the flesh loses its creamy texture and becomes mealy. This happens because the enzymes that control ripening stop working below 13 degrees Celsius, causing uneven ripening. Additionally, refrigerated bananas lose some of their natural antioxidants and can develop an unpleasant flavor. The correct way to store it is simple. Always keep it at room temperature, in a cool place and away from direct sunlight. Want to extend durability? Wrap the stem of the bunch with plastic wrap or aluminum foil, as this is where most of the ethylene that accelerates ripening comes from. And if the banana is already very ripe, peel it, cut it into slices, and freeze it. This way, you'll always have a practical and nutritious base for smoothies, desserts, and other healthy recipes. Food number 6, garlic, which loses its medicinal power in the cold. Garlic has been known for thousands of years as a powerful natural remedy, used to strengthen immunity and protect the heart. The secret of its action lies in thialicin, a compound that forms when garlic is cut or crushed. But here's the problem: when you put garlic in the refrigerator, especially when it's already peeled or chopped, the moisture accelerates spoilage and even encourages sprouting. Sprouted garlic loses much of its properties and can even have a bitter taste and rubbery texture. There is still a very serious risk. Never store chopped garlic in oil at room temperature. This can encourage the growth of bacteria, Clostridium botulinum, responsible for botulism, a potentially fatal food poisoning. The correct way to store it is simple. Keep the garlic whole with the skin on, in a cool, dry and well-ventilated place. A wicker basket or hammock hung in a well-ventilated location works well. This way, garlic can last for months while preserving its medicinal properties, which are essential for our health, especially as we age. Food number 7, honey, which crystallizes and becomes less practical in the cold. Honey is one of nature's most perfect foods, rich in antioxidants and with unique antibacterial properties. But when you put honey in the refrigerator, it quickly crystallizes, becoming hard and difficult to use. This process is natural, but the cold greatly accelerates crystallization. What's more, honey can absorb moisture inside the refrigerator, which changes its consistency and even encourages unwanted fermentation. The good news is that pure, natural honey has a shelf life of practically infinity when stored correctly. Proof of this is that archaeologists have found intact honey pots in Egyptian tombs that are more than 3,000 years old. Therefore, always store at room temperature, in a tightly closed container, away from light and heat. This way, you ensure that this superfood continues to offer all its benefits to your health. Archaeologists have found jars of honey with more than 3,000 years that were still perfectly preserved. This shows how long-lasting this food is when stored correctly. The correct way to store it is simple: in a tightly closed container, at room temperature, in a dry, dark place. A kitchen cabinet, away from the heat of the stove, is ideal. If your honey crystallizes, don't worry, just place the jar in a double boiler filled with warm water to return it to liquid form. Never use boiling water, as this can destroy important nutrients. Remember, although natural and healthy, honey is high in sugar. Therefore, it should be consumed in moderation, especially by those who need to control their blood sugar. Now that you know the 7 foods that should never go in the refrigerator, I'll show you how to reorganize your kitchen in a practical and safe way to store them all correctly. The first step is to choose a cool, dry and dark place in your home, where the temperature is between 15 and 20 degrees Celsius. It could be a low cabinet, away from the stove and sink, or even a pantry if you have one. Potatoes, store in a cardboard box or paper bag, never in plastic. And keep away from onions, as they spoil faster together. Check weekly and discard any potatoes with sprouts or green spots. Tomatoes, store in a fruit bowl or basket, away from direct light. If buying in large quantities, let them ripen naturally outside the refrigerator and only refrigerate those that are fully ripe and will be consumed within 2 days. Bread, store in a bread container or wrapped in a clean cloth in the cupboard. If your home is very humid, use an airtight container with a moisture-absorbing sachet. Avocado, let it ripen on the kitchen counter. Only once ripe should you put it in the refrigerator, and only if you are not going to consume it immediately. Bananas, keep in a well-ventilated fruit bowl. If you have a rack to hang bananas, even better, as it prevents them from getting crushed. Garlic, store in a wicker basket, hanging net, or ceramic jar with ventilation holes. This way, it will last for months, preserving its flavor and medicinal properties. Mel, can be stored in any dry cupboard, as long as it is well closed and away from heat. It is important to highlight some special situations. If you live in very hot regions, where the temperature exceeds 25 degrees C, some of these foods may spoil more quickly. In this case, choose the coolest place in the house, such as a downstairs cupboard or an indoor pantry. People who use medications for diabetes should be especially careful with honey consumption, only small amounts and always monitoring blood sugar. Who has fungal allergy or respiratory problems need to be strict with bread storage and discard any sign of mold immediately. Seniors with lower immune systems should check these foods frequently and discard any that show signs of spoilage. If you take anticoagulants, talk to your doctor before consuming garlic in large quantities, as it can enhance the effects of these medications. Pregnant women should avoid unpasteurized honey. Golden rule: always check the condition of your food daily. And remember, when in doubt, it's better to throw it away than to risk your health. Thank you so much for watching this far and taking the time to learn information that can truly transform your life and that of your family. If this content was helpful, please leave your comment. So that more people our age have access to this information. Write in the comments, which of these foods were you storing incorrectly and how will you change your habits from today onwards? And don't forget to share this video with your family and friends who also care about health and well-being. Now, you will see on the screen 2 videos that I have separated especially for you. I'm sure you'll enjoy continuing to learn simple strategies for living a healthier, better quality of life. Until next time, take care.